Hello. Welcome. Masters of the Air Episode 5 heralds the halfway mark of the limited series run, with just 4 episodes remaining. Appropriately, the show hits a seismic turning point this week in an installment that brings shattering loss, large-scale spectacle, and more lingering grief. There is an opening moment of genuine cheer to guide us through the bleakness of the rest of the episode, though. Crosby makes it back to base alive and well after last week's misadventure. It's sobering when Crows and his crewmates return to find replacements already in their beds. Even more uncanny is when Crosby's fellow navigator, Bubbles, admits he penned a letter to Crow's wife about his death. Luckily, it went unsent. Before that shell shock that was episode 5, we saw a deeply distraught Egan learning that his best friend's plane was shot down. If the pilot is even alive, he still has to get out of Germany somehow. Either way, Egan is ready for revenge. Whereas the 100th Bomb Group previously focused on military targets, their next mission was to hit a highly populated civilian area in Munster. The focal point of the assault would be a cathedral in the center of the city when Sunday Mass concluded. While many of the pilots were horrified by the thought of killing innocent people, others, like Egan, saw it as a chance to honor their fallen friends. As the real-life Egan told the National World War II Museum, it was a dream mission to avenge the death of a buddy. But as we know from Cleven's downfall, flying 30,000 feet in the air and firing bullets at enemies is a surefire way to find yourself back down on the ground quickly. Egan is hit over the Ruhr Valley. He never even makes it to Munster. Egan and co-pilot John Brady are both forced to jump out of their plane, the Emil Zigzag, as German forces rain hell on their formation. Egan safely parachutes into enemy territory, however, and at the end of the episode, he is deep in a bog, hiding from an armed German man who is searching for him. Miraculously, only one aircraft from the 100th Bomb Group returned to base following the raid on Munster. All your favorite heroes may be in the wind, but let me introduce you to Robert "Rosie" Rosenthal. As played by Nate Mann in Masters of the Air, Rosenthal is our late-game hero. He's the 100th's dark horse and arguably the most legendary member of the group. I don't want to give too much away about this man just yet, but I'm excited to finally be able to write about this character. For now, let's just say you should prepare to fall in love with old Rosie as the show goes on. As the only pilot to return from Munster, Rosenthal reports that he still dropped his payload despite losing 2 engines and his plane's oxygen system. A significant amount of time is dedicated to Rosenthal's harrowing return in this episode, and he's easily the surprise highlight of Masters as we head into the second half of the miniseries. According to the Smithsonian, he reportedly arrived back at base that day and joked, "Are they all this rough? What a killer." Next week, hopefully, we'll find out what happened to one of our other favorite boys. But while Crosby has staged a miraculous return, Cleven notably has not. This is an episode defined by absence. Egan, usually one part of a double act with Cleven, begins the episode mourning his friend alone, while later, after Crows gets promoted, he cuts a lonely figure as he eats solo, waiting for the men, his friends, to return. Previously, I've said Callum Turner steals the show, and while he very much does, it'd be remiss not to give Anthony Boyle his due. Crows, our narrator and often our audience surrogate, is endlessly likable thanks to Boyle's physical expressiveness. His persistent imposter syndrome and fear for his friends are displayed openly and earnestly from his face and posture alone. The bulk of the episode, though, is dedicated to the bloody spectacle of aerial combat as the men set out on another death-defying mission. The score's rhythm falls into something like a ticking clock as the squadron is driven to their planes. It's clear that something is about to go spectacularly wrong. The VFX as the men hit the skies remains consistently excellent. This is not an episode for those who fear heights, complete with a dizzying view of a glass gun turret that looks straight down at the ground before the flak sets the plane to shuddering. The focus of the first half of the battle is strictly on Egan's aircraft, which effectively narrows the scope of what could otherwise become an overwhelming action sequence. It'd be easy to get lost in the sheer chaos, but when we have familiar faces to ground us, the emotional beats hit even harder as flak rips gruesomely through the squadron. Blake Neely's score lurches to the nightmarish as German planes fill the sky and the situation turns from bleak to truly hopeless. It's a goosebump-raising moment. The battle that follows is on a blockbuster scale, with immaculate sound design that sharpens every bullet, every droning engine, and every anguished cry. Ultimately, Egan and his crew have to abandon their plane, which results in a vertigo-inducing free fall to dangerous ground. Egan touches down in Germany, and you can't help thinking he might have been safer in the air.